This is the Page Publishing Book Club. I'm your host, Alice Stockton Rossini, along with my faithful friend and engineer, Rob Barrett. Hello, Rob. How you doing? How are you doing? It's the last show of March. Oh, my goodness. Woohoo! March comes in like a lion. It better go out like a lamb, because we have had one heck of a winter here in the Northeast. Oh, yeah. Spring has officially sprung, and it's time for you to get up and start writing. And proof that sometimes a bad situation can turn into a good situation is right here with Dr. Evelyn Jenkins. She wrote Get Out of Debt, Quick, Fast, and in a Hurry. Evelyn, this is how to get out of debt quicker and faster than any other way possible.
I believe so, because it's the way you pay the debt that causes the interest not to accrue as fast. Therefore, you can get rid of the debt faster.
Do you have experience with debt?
Yes.
That's not good.
Well, in a sense, it's not good, but it depends on what you take away from it. I was in the process of buying and selling homes, stuff like that, and I got caught in that mortgage crisis. And at the time, I had several homes, and I was almost about to lose all of them. So I had to figure out a way to get out of debt. So I started with my unsecured debt. All of those credit cards, it was like $80,000 worth. I also noticed that I had different sources of income that I could actually use to help me get out of that debt. So I took that source of income, applied it to the debt, and when I would get paid, I would take all of my paycheck and put it back into the source that paid the debt.
How did you live, though?
Because you include your living expenses as a debt as well. So when you include your living expenses as a debt, your living expenses is also the things that you do from day to day is also included in those calculations.
How fast did you get out of debt?
Well, it took me about 14 months to get rid of $80,000.
14 months? That's amazing.
Yes, I know. And then if, say, for example, I have a friend, he's using the same concept, but he has an automated version. I just did my stuff by hand. But he has an automated version program that he uses. And he bought his home in 2009. He's got 18 months and he'll be done.
That just sounds unbelievable to me.
Doesn't it? But you do have to be disciplined. Very much so.
So you were so impressed with this way to get out of debt that you decided to write about it.
Yes, and it had to be short and sweet because most people don't pay attention for very long.
How'd you find Paige?
I needed someone to guide me. I'd done the work with my dissertation, which is writing the book, same thing. But I wanted someone who was literally going to take me by the hand and say, do these things next. And that's what Paige did.
They took you by the hand.
Mm-hmm. What I was trying to do was make a way for any average person to be able to do this.
Have you had a lot of attention with this book?
My friend and I, we're trying to put something together because he can talk about his automated version of how he's doing this, and I can talk about how I did this using a pen and a paper. We've had what I call little mini seminars at my home, in fact. Get-togethers where people will come, and we're kind of starting there. We want to do churches, actually these mega churches, because we know that they have these mega mortgages. And so we'd like to get an audience with them. And so that's kind of what we're working on right now.
So you have your seminars, you bring your book, you sell your book, you have your seminar. You could have a new job on your hands there, Evelyn.
I know. But that's okay because that'll be my 4th career.
Oh, good for you, Evelyn. 4 careers. Way to go. And she's doing it debt-free. I may have to try this myself. This is a very unique way to get out of debt, I have to say. But the point is, Evelyn found herself in debt, got out of debt, was compelled to write about it, and now she may have actually found herself an entirely new career. Way to go. Next up, we've got one for people who love history, and I mean love history, particularly European history. Victoria Mersner wrote The Diaries of Hermann Ludwig von Lohenstern.
Well, if I give it in German, Hermann Ludwig von Löwenstern.
Oh, my. Okay.
Well, the Löwenstern is interesting. The family was elevated to nobility about in the 1550s by the Swedish.
Who is this family?
They were Baltic Germans, and there are descendants. I've had contact with some of the descendants. This particular man didn't have any descendants that lived beyond the 19th century, but the one I'm working on, I sort of got in the mold of this family. There were 10 children, and of the 10, at that point, if you primogeniture, the estates went to the oldest son, who then later died at an early age. But men, the young sons, tended to go into the Russian Navy or into the Russian military, and there were 4 of them that went in, and they were important generals in the Napoleonic, against Napoleon. One of the younger brothers actually married a woman from Hamburg, and as a result of that, at that point, Hamburg was part of the Danish thing, so he became a Danish diplomat in the end. But
you're a historian?
See, I'm a professor of German, so I started out in medieval German, and as a result of moving around and discrimination against women and other things, I taught all of the undergraduate courses at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. So I'm professor of German emerita from the University of Alaska Fairbanks.
But you have a personal connection to this family.
I want to use a good German word, jein, yes and no. No, I had a very dear colleague who was a professor of history, asked me at one point to translate, or he wanted me to translate untranslated parts of one of the journals of the first Russian voyage around the world that had been published in 1812. And when I looked at it, I said, no, I have to do the whole thing. Because it had been translated, I'm very sure, by 2 anonymous German women. You could tell by the mistakes that were made in the English when you looked at the original German. Wow. And that got me interested in the first Russian voyage around the world. And then, of course, the opportunity came to go to Estonia and get hold of these journals of Hermann Ludwig, which were non-censored. They were not intended for publication. And, of course, you've got all those goodies in it, all those kind of things that frustrated him that he probably didn't say out loud on the ship. Right. And, of course, gone to censorship. Most all of that would have been censored out.
Wow.
You can see it with the journals of, and that's not in this particular translation, but of the voyage around the world. I did get a hold of an earlier version of the captain of the ship thing where it was totally censored out. But that's where I got into it, and then I sort of got fascinated with this Löwenstern family, with the 10 siblings and the kind of things that that's left. And of course, the sister it's a beautiful view in this sense, a personal view of the 19th century, because she didn't die until 1878, and of the kind of things, family life and of the political life.
So what was your intention in writing this book? Is it for students? Is it for just anyone who loves this kind of history?
I would say for anyone who loves this kind of history. Yeah. Potentially the people who are really interested in Napoleonic history. Certainly if you're interested in Baltic history, particularly of Estonia.
Man, I'm exhausted just listening to the amount of research this woman has done to get this book published. And it all started out as a favor to a friend. Victoria is hoping history buffs of Napoleon and the first Russian voyage around the world are going to be interested enough in her book to check it out. Our next author, Ronald Henderson, wrote a book of poems called The Circle. He was inspired by his grandchildren about 10 years ago, but tell us the rest of the story, Ronald.
Well, I had accumulated 40, 45 poems, and I thought, I'd like to have them published as a gift, I guess, to my grandchildren. A lot of times, all we have left, memories of our parents, our grandparents, our old photographs, and I guess this is my photograph.
That's so sweet, Ronald. Are they poems for kids?
Sort of. What I try to do is I write poems that rhyme, and I try to write poems that have a flow to them to make them easier to read. I try not to put any words in there that you have to get the dictionary out to look up and see what it means. I think that takes away from the poetry.
Can you read one to me?
Yes, I'll read you my favorite, as a matter of fact.
Great.
It's not the best thing I've written, but it's my favorite poem. The title of it is The Onion. If by some strange occurrence, like a lightning strike out of the blue, you should find yourself alone in the darkness, only the darkness in you, lost in a void with no voices to hear, no sights to be seen, no one to be near, no taste to be tasted, no smells to be smelled, no great expectations or fears to be quelled. And then you were told to measure the cost, the value you'd give to the things you have lost. Then pick one of those things, people you've known, places you've been, something you'd want to have back again. Just a simple question, what would you choose? What would you gain? And what would you lose? I pondered this question and submit my answer to you. I believe I would like someone to talk to.
Now, is this just, did you just do this so that your grandkids would have something, or do you want to sell them? Do you want to make money? What's your objective?
Money wasn't a goal. The reason I started writing is I would describe it as a convergence of circumstances. My wife's mother passed away in early fall of 2003, and my wife asked if I would write and give her eulogy. At that time, I'd never written anything that wasn't copied out of an encyclopedia, and I was not a public speaker, but no is not an acceptable answer in those circumstances. So I wrote the eulogy and gave it. Then in the late fall of 2003, our first grandchild was born. So I wrote a poem to commemorate her birth, and then 10 years and 6 additional grandchildren later, I find that I'm still writing poems for and about the grandchildren and about life in general.
So your family really inspires you.
Yes, I would say. If I hadn't had grandchildren, I probably would have never written anything.
I don't know if I'd go that far. So you just want to put it out there and see what happens, basically.
Yeah. I guess my poems are about 3 things. They're about tears, laughter, and thought. Right. And if I can convey one of those 3 things to the reader, then I think the poem is beneficial.
Fair enough. Did you have a good experience with Paige?
Yes, I have. Yes, I had an accumulation of work, and I thought, see if I could get it published somewhere. And I just happened to call Paige and talk to, I think Joseph Magnolia was his name, and read him a couple poems. And he suggested that I send them a manuscript, which I did. And, then that started the process. And here I am, a published author.
Feels good, right?
Yes, it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, for some people, as we have mentioned so many times before, it's not about the money. It's really, really not. It's simply about accomplishing something you've always wanted to do. And for people like Ron, being a published author is a reward in itself. Oh, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we have some sports trivia for you. Grab some refreshments. Come right back. I'll be waiting for you. This is the Page Publishing Book Club.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-204-6099 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-204-6099 for your free author submission kit.
Welcome back to the Page Publishing Book Club. I love that bass. I want you to stand up and stretch right now. It's the 7th inning stretch, right? We're headed into baseball season. Stretch and take a deep breath in and out. All right, now we're ready for some trivia. Some sports trivia. All right. I can hear you non-sports fans already, but I'm telling you, this is fun. You're going to like this. Trust me. Frank Cull wrote Hall of Fame sports trivia. Hey, Frank, you were a legit sports guy, right?
Yes, I've been involved in that for a number of years because I was a newspaper game. I wrote sports columns, Brooklyn, Long Island Sports. Then I was at the Long Island Record where I wrote around sports circles. My longest run was at the Irish Echo newspaper where I was there for 30 years.
The Irish Echo. So
I did Round the Emerald Green, which is a gossip column in the Sports Huddle. And then I was editor of Football Roundup magazine. And I was the sports editor for the Downtown Athletic Club Journal, the home of the Heisman Trophy.
where did this book come from?
What happened was, anytime I wrote a sports column, I had a question at the beginning of the column and the answer at the end. And then over the course of time, you would have people that would wait for me someplace, like in the post office, and ask me a trivia question. And anytime I did do this, the columns, I saved them. And one day I'm going through the garage and I'm looking at these boxes. I said to myself, there's no research here for me to do. It's all right here. There's a box in the garage, Alice, I didn't even use. And I went to the library. I researched everything on sports trivia books. Most sports trivia books are one topic, baseball or football or hockey, whatever. Mine's all sports, everything, boxing, tennis, baseball, golf. But to get to the point of the box that's in the garage, I went through it and found a number of questions that people wouldn't know the answer to. Not common knowledge, let's put it that way. And as a result, I would constantly be told I didn't know that.
Give me one. Give me something somebody wouldn't know about baseball.
Okay. Why does a manager or a coach in baseball have to wear a uniform?
I don't know.
In football, basketball, and hockey, the coach or the manager is not allowed on the playing field. In baseball, the manager or coach goes on the baseball field when he goes out to talk to the pitcher or change the pitcher. He has to wear a uniform.
And most people don't know that?
Correct. They don't know why. You want more baseball?
Yeah, why not?
The first home field for the New York Yankees was where?
I don't know.
Hilltop Park was the name of the field, and the Yankees were known as the New York Highlanders. And this was before they moved to the Polo Grounds, and then they moved to Yankee Stadium to 1923, the house that Ruth built. And, of course, now they're in the new ballpark next to that. But Hilltop Park is on 168th Street and Broadway in Manhattan in New York City, and it's now the site of the Columbia Presbyterian Hospital.
I didn't know that. So most people think it was the Polo Grounds, right?
That's correct. But
what a fun book this is. Are you going out and talking about it? Are you promoting it?
I actually was a guest speaker a couple of times on this, which was another help, because now I have names and addresses of people that I met when I went out doing this. But it's just something that was fun. And you want the punchline?
I want it.
The punchline is playing sports trivia is better than arguing with your brother-in-law about religion or politics.
Because?
Because sports trivia is just fun. Everybody loves talking about it. More baseball, or you want to switch topics?
It's spring, so that's why I was saying baseball.
Okay. You want more baseball?
Okay.
Whose cement company supplied the concrete for the building of the Yankee Stadium in 1923, the house that Ruth built?
I would think that's written somewhere. Can I Google that?
I bet you don't find it anywhere.
Now, how are you selling this?
I give a little talk, and then what happens is, maybe I'll throw out 10 or 15 questions if there's an audience. Right. And then there's friends of mine that do it, that they're having a fundraiser, say. Okay. And a friend of mine called up a couple of weeks ago. He said, I need 20 questions. We're having a fundraiser for our Little League team. I said, oh, okay. So I go, look, he wants baseball, obviously. And I write things down and email it to him. And this way, when he has his fundraiser, he's got something to talk about. Nice. A lot of ones that are so interesting. That again, Wayne Gretzky was a great hockey player, right. Tremendous player. He wore number 99. The question is in the book is, why did you wear number 99? Well, years ago, Gordie Howe was by far the best player in the National Hockey League, and he wore number 9. Gretzky made his 99. Isn't it something?
Now, see, instead of people calling you up and asking these questions, you could just say, buy my book.
this was to give me a hard time or try and catch me. That's what it came down to. But sometimes the questions were something that I didn't hear before, and I have encyclopedias. I go look up in baseball, and sure enough, there it was, the Academy Award winner for the best picture on sports. There was 3 Academy Awards given to 3 motion pictures that were sports related.
Was The Natural one of them?
Nope. That's a good guess, though. You're missing the obvious one.
Oh, geez. Go ahead.
Rocky.
Oh, really? Oh, see, I wouldn't even think that. That's, oh, geez.
Rocky, Chariots of Fire, about the Olympics, and $1 Million Baby.
Oh,
Clint
$1 Million
Eastwood,
Baby. Yeah, that was good.
which was a good movie.
Yeah. You're a published author. You've already written books. Why would you go with Page?
I know a couple of people there, and actually, what happens is the contract that you sign, they do a lot of the work, like the copyright and the promotion sheet, the press release. I mean, I approve it, obviously, but a lot of it is, and kind of thing. I think the thing that's fun, you're assigned an editor, and when you go down with different things or make different suggestions, that we'd sit down and talk it over. The trivia book has different sports writers, different sports personalities would say things in the newspaper, radio, TV, whatever. And when I come to a page that has, say the section on hockey, I get to the last page, the question section, and half the page is blank. Then what I do is I put in sports quotes from different people. And a lot of them turn out to be funny because they've lasted over the course of time. And like Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over. One of the ones I really like is Lou Holtz was the head football coach at Notre Dame. He had quite a career. He was the coach of the New York Jets too for a while, but he's at Notre Dame in a halftime game. They're playing Army in Yankee Stadium. This is years ago. And at halftime, he said to him, "I only have one thing to say, fellas. I want you to go out and win this game. And you want to know the reason?" So one of the players said, "Yeah, coach, what's the reason?" "To save my job."
Sounds like radio. I want you to get good ratings. Why? To save my job. Sounds like a fun book, doesn't it? Wait. We didn't answer the question. Who supplied the concrete for the house that Ruth built? Do you know? Do you want to know? Does this keep you up at night? I know it does. Rob is shaking his head. He wants to know. Edison Portland Cement, started by Thomas Edison. That's right. In New Village, New Jersey. Who knew he did light bulbs and cement? Finally, Aunt Lou decided to stop by. You know Aunt Lou. She writes children's books. This one is called Bart's Bad Hair Day. Hey, Aunt Lou, how you doing?
I'm great. I wrote a children's book called Bart's Bad Hair Day. It's these 4 adorable characters. And I like, with all of the books that I write for children, I like them to have a theme of helping one another and loving one another and pitching in to share whatever their talents are. So it starts out, Bart is this big, huggable, cuddly, furry bear. His full name is Bartholomew E. Bear. And poor Bart, he's always a victim of some unfortunate circumstance. So he has these little friends. There's Joe the turtle, and Joe is this mild-mannered, easygoing, very loving turtle, sometimes referred to as JT. And he has this other friend, Jennifer Bunny, and she's very quick-witted and outgoing, very pretty, pink bunny, beautiful. And she's sometimes referred to as JB. And then there's Speedy, the intellectual squirrel, and we call her, she's the creative, imaginative, talented girl. And they all live in the woods, and they're all very eager to help their friend. And so Bart sits down on a wad of gum and gets right on his bum, a bear with gum right where he sat. And he tries and tries and tries a variety of different ways to get this gum off. And, he goes from bad to worse. So he shares this dilemma with his little woodsy friends, and they put their heads together and they come up with a solution. Of course, I would ruin the story. I would ruin the ending if I told you. But it's a happy ending. Things work out well for Bart. And it's just, this book is just adorable. It's a treat for the eyes and the ears. It's gorgeously illustrated, very colorful. I'm very pleased with the artwork that's in it. It came out better than expected with these beautiful pictures, very colorful. I have a master's degree in reading, K through 12, and I also taught high school. And my very first year of teaching, I realized that the real problem in education is reading, that we really need to teach kids to read and make it fun. Yeah, I'm glad you agree. And plus, going into this age of technology, age of computer, which was when I began teaching, that's very isolating. And what has resulted from that is the kids today have very poor interpersonal skills, poor social skills. Their verbal skills are very lacking. And they have poor language skills in general. Their spelling is bad, their writing is bad, and their reading is bad. Everything is texting this and texting that and abbreviating this and that and eyes down to the palm of your hand rather than looking someone in the face and talking with them, and conversational skills, all this type of thing. So I call that isolation. And as a reading specialist, I try to produce read-aloud books which provide insulation. And by that I mean they provide a warmth of personal attention. The kids today are craving personal attention, quality time. And the read-aloud type of book is, it takes two. It takes a listener. It takes a reader. And it's quality time. It's the bedtime story. It's time together. And it fits the emotional needs of the child, as well as the intellectual or educational needs, especially of the audio learner.
How do you get this book to the people who could make the best use of it?
Well, it's in the public library in Cincinnati, Ohio, and the branches. It's in one of the public libraries out in Los Angeles, California, and it's in a public library up in Boston. It is my hope that this book will be on every shelf in every house there is, because all proceeds that I write, for any book that I write, all proceeds go to children's charity. And the one for any of the Bart books is that's going to be for Shriners Hospital.
Nice, Aunt Lou. I love the attempt to encourage kids to make a connection. That is going to be the challenge, I think, of our next generation. Connecting one-on-one, face-to-face, not through Facebook, not through texting, you know. Anyway, we are out of time. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you, Rob, my engineer. Thank you, authors, and thank you, listeners. I know you're all tuning in to the new morning show here on 710 WOR, right? You are all tuning in. I know it. I know. Because you're emailing me and Facebooking me. And you're loving it. Yes. The new morning show with Todd Schnitt and Len Berman right here on 710 WOR. It is a fun, informative show. And that's what we're all about here. Being fun and giving information. So go have some fun writing, will ya? Have a great weekend.